Accused MAGA rioter Rachel Powell will likely not be winning Mother of the Year anytime soon. In fact, according to CBS News' Scott MacFarlane, who continues to cover the court proceedings in relation to the January 6th Capitol riots, notes that federal prosecutors have alleged that Powell had left her 6 young children at home, unattended, to go rioting for Trump. Because that's what good parents do. That's what good parents do. Now, Powell shares custody of her children, all minors, with her ex-husband, but had left them unattended while traveling from her home in Sandy Lake, Pennsylvania, to take part in efforts to overturn Donald Trump's election loss. So it's not like she's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm like 10 minutes away. They're down the street. They'll be fine." No, this is Pennsylvania, going down to Washington, D.C. I would say that's a significant amount of time that you were away from your kids. Yeah. Now, she believed, by the way, that this rally that turned into the riot was possibly going to be a trigger to a civil war. I think, folks, we have run into a Tim Pool of yore. Because that's certainly what it sounds like. So now, here's what she posted on social media back in October of 2020. Quote, "I agree with the possibility of civil war happening. I can see that too. Unfortunately, the only way this is probably capable of being fixed is bloodshed. Because I'm not so sure our government can be fixed the political way anymore." So now understand, of course, what that means. She's saying, yeah, violence. Yeah, well, of course, violence. But of course, you asked Donald Trump and some of the Republicans, oh, no, they're just tourists. Very, very peaceful, wonderful people, just tourists, nothing wrong. In fact, you know what? They were both tourists and very, very peaceful, but yet also violent Antifa. Sure. Lots of logical consistency on that side, isn't it? Now, sadly, of course, this is unfortunately a sentiment supported by a great deal of Republicans, talking about civil war, talking about violence. I'm going to give you the polling on that. In fact, according to an American Enterprise Institute survey done last year, about 8 in 10 Republicans said the current political system is, quote unquote, stacked against conservatives and people with traditional values. Another poll just recently came out. The vast majority of Republicans, I think over 50%, almost 60%, believe in the Great Replacement theory. So there's that. A majority also agreed with the statement, the traditional American way of life is disappearing so fast that we may have to use force to save it. And we're not talking about the Star Wars force. About 4 in 10 Republicans and independents also say violent action against the government is sometimes justified. And about a third of Republicans, according to the Public Religion Research Institute, agreed with the statement, saying, quote, "Because things have gotten so far off track, the true American patriots may have to resort to violence in order to save our country." And most recently, a poll from the Southern Poverty Law Center found that over half of all Republicans say the country is headed towards a civil war in the near future. Again, Tim Pool viewers. So understand, this is important. It is not just fringe thought. A lot of Republicans really do believe this talk of doing political violence. And again, it's not necessarily just Republicans. Another recent poll, or I should say that same poll from the Southern Poverty Law Center, found that younger voters on both sides, by the way, are say that it's okay to participate in violent revolution. That is 42% of younger Democrats, men, of course, and 45% of young Republican men. So again, I note that you have these vast majorities of men. So young men, both sides are getting primed for war, to fight against each other. That's not good. That's a very bad situation. Very bad indeed. And so now getting back to MAGA mommy, right? Now, Powell also posted on social media back in 2020 about surveilling a public official's home and questioned how to confirm without entering a courthouse to seek records that she had the official's correct address, according to a new court filing. My guess is that she was just not going there to protest. No. Because again, I don't have any problem with people protesting as long as you do it peacefully, even in front of a public figure's home. I'm very clear about that, right? So long as you keep it to a peaceful demonstration. Now, that is not this. She was talking about surveillance. Now, that seems very strange, right? Surveillance, you're gonna stalk their home? You're gonna, what? Like, what do? You're going to sit outside with like a camera and document where they're going? Well, that seems very strange. That seems a little dangerous, a little creepy. Could be stalking, especially if you're talking about violence and doing a civil war. Now, the final layer on this shit cake is just something that I got to point out. Right-wingers, they're so concerned about the kids. You got to protect the children. You got to protect them from critical race theory. You got to protect them from LGBTQ and drag queen books. But, you got to protect them for the teachers too. Yes. And trans ideology, you got to protect them from that too. But hey, you kiddos, you just sit there. You sit tight, okay? Mommy's going to go riot for Trump. I'll be back in who knows how long.